Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to decode the abstract blueprint for truth itself. Have you ever listened to someone's incredibly complex, convoluted argument and just thought, is there a way to mathematically prove whether this holds water or if it's just completely falling apart? Well, today we are looking at the foundational rules of propositional logic. Think of this as the ultimate toolkit for breaking down ideas into their purest forms. We're going to bypass all the rhetoric, strip away the emotion, and look at the actual, hard mathematics of reasoning. Okay, let's just jump right into the agenda. We'll start off by examining the atoms of logic, then move into the 5 logical connectives that bind them. After that, we'll explore how we actually evaluate compound statements, and finally, we'll look at the final logical verdict. We're taking a systematic, building block approach here to make everything incredibly clear.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the atoms of logic, also known as propositions.
So look, to build a strong house, you obviously need solid bricks, right? While in propositional logic, our foundational bricks are called propositions. Basically, a proposition is strictly defined as a declarative statement with a specific truth value. It's got to be a statement that declares a fact, and this is absolutely crucial. It can only be exclusively true or exclusively false. There is zero gray area here. The sky is blue. That's a proposition. I like pizza. Proposition. But a question like, what time is it? Well, that's not a proposition because it literally cannot be true or false. These binary bricks are the simple, unbending foundation upon which the whole shebang of complex logic is built. Moving right along to Section 2, the 5 logical connectives. Think of this as the structural glue. Now, if all we had were simple, single propositions, our ability to reason would be kind of limited, honestly. Life is just rarely as simple as one isolated fact. Look at the contrast we have here. A simple proposition just sits there and stands alone. But a compound statement that layers those propositions together to represent messy, real-world ideas. To actually navigate these layered arguments, to connect our simple bricks into walls and bridges, we desperately need grammatical rules. We need what we call logical connectives. And this brilliantly illustrates the 5 distinct logical connectives we use to bind our ideas together. Now, don't let the mathematical symbols completely freak you out. They're really just the mortar holding our truth bricks together. First step is negation, which literally just means not. Next is conjunction, meaning and, like the sky is blue and I like pizza. Disjunction simply means or. Implication is your classic if this, then that. And finally, the biconditional means if and only if. Seriously, master these 5 little tools and you can map out pretty much any argument. Okay, Section 3, evaluating compound statements, the blueprint. So, how do we actually use this? If you're faced with a massive, intimidating compound statement, you don't just guess its validity. No way. You follow this exact logical step-by-step procedure. Step 1, isolate and identify your basic propositions, your P's and Q's. Step 2, accurately apply your connectives to see exactly how those propositions are linked. And Step 3, evaluate the overall truth value based on those links. Breaking it down systematically like this ensures you never get overwhelmed, no matter how convoluted the argument might seem. Now, what's really interesting here is how we actually perform that final evaluation. We use a truth table. A truth table is basically the essential ultimate matrix for logically evaluating any compound statement. You just systematically list out every single possible combination of true and false for your basic propositions, run them through the rules of your connectives, and magically the table reveals exactly under which conditions your compound statement holds true. It is literally like a stress test simulation for logical arguments, mapping out every possible scenario mechanically and flawlessly. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, the final logical verdict. I want you to pause for just a second and really think about this. After an argument has been thoroughly inspected by our mathematical truth table, what could the realistic outcomes actually be? When we boil down all the rhetoric and all the noise, how does logic fundamentally categorize the final result? Well, the crucial point is that your argument is inevitably going to fall into one of 3 distinct categories. The first is a tautology. A tautology is a statement that is logically sound, completely unbreakable, and always true, regardless of the individual truth values of its parts. Take the expression P or not P. Think about it. It is raining or it is not raining. I mean, there's literally no possible universe where that statement is false, right? It covers all bases. A tautology is the absolute gold standard of logical certainty. Then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we've got the contradiction. This is an argument that is, well, pure nonsense. It is mathematically always false. The example here is P and not P. Let's use our weather example again. It is raining and it is not raining. Claiming that something is true and false simultaneously at the exact same time? That is an absolute absurdity in propositional logic. If your truth table spits out a contradiction, the argument is fundamentally broken, period. Finally, we have the middle ground, which, let's face it, is where most of our daily life actually exists: the contingency. A contingency is an argument that is sometimes true and sometimes false. Its ultimate truth value depends entirely on the specific, shifting variables involved in the propositions. It's not a guaranteed lock like a tautology, and it's not a guaranteed failure like a contradiction. You actually have to go out and check the facts of the world to see if the specific conditions have been met. Which leaves us with this final thought. You are now fully armed with a mathematical blueprint of reason. You know all about the foundational propositions, the glue of the connectives, and the absolute superpower that is the truth table. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Is the next complex argument you hear a tautology, an absolute certainty? Is it a contradiction, just logically falling apart at the seams? Or is it a contingency, waiting for you to actually verify the facts? The tools to find out are all yours now. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning everything.